Alright everyone, here's all the trains I caught on the battle stop recently. So let's get into them. So the first train in this video is CN M301. Coming to the Macmillan Yard in Fawn and is heading to a 17-yard in Winnipeg. It usually goes onto the Halton, but for some unknown reason, it detoured onto the Bella. It was hit by 3379 with a way also setting K3 LA Hearn. And it was originally BNSF 4524. And trailing second is 2995. And how many cars did these trains have? Well, it doesn't matter. I really don't feel like counting the cars LOL. After all, I want to try to get this video uploaded before I see the holiday train this weekend. Anyways, M301 was going to be meeting with M314 at Zephyr, which will be the next train. The first two trains were taken on Monday, November 17th. This went by at 1:41 p.m. Three of one actually stopped after Princess Street because it was waiting for 314 to get into a Zephyr siding. Now let me show you what 314 has that day, shall we? So going the opposite direction from the 17-yard in Winnipeg to the Macmillan-yard in Vaughan, CN M314 was led by 8859 with away also said K5LA Hearn. And trailing second is 8005. A SD70M-2. And 314 went by at 2:32 p.m. The next train I caught is CN-B731, a northbound empty potash train coming out of St. John, New Brunswick and is heading to Yarborough, Saskatchewan. And it usually takes for Halton to get to Saskatchewan. But for some unknown reason, it detoured onto the Bella just like 301. It was set by 8337 with away also said K3L Hearn. And for rear DPU is 3032. And the next two trains were taken on Tuesday, November 18th. And this went by at 1:51 p.m. The next train I caught is CNQ109, coming out of Montreal and is heading to Rubber Banks, BC. It was hit by 3181 Railway, also sitting K5HL Horn. Trailing second is 2804. In the middle of this train is a red braking boxcar, and that being 0078. And for rear DPU is XCVX 3958. With a crossing activated, the gate actually went down onto a box truck. Thankfully, it didn't break the gate. Anyways, 109 went by at 2:13 p.m. Train I caught is CNQ107, coming out of Brampton Intermodal Terminal and is heading to Winnipeg. It was hit by 3008. The Illinois Central Heritage Railway, also sitting K5HLA Horn. Trailing second is 2624. Trailing third is 2534. Trailing fourth is 3116. And trailing fifth is 3108. A 100-year anniversary GFO. And this was going to be meeting with CNQ106 at Zephyr, which will be the next train. And the next two trains were taken on Wednesday, November 19th. and 107 went by at 10:23 a.m. The next train I caught is CNQ106, coming out of Rubberbanks, BC, and it's heading to Montreal. It was led by 2255 of Roy, also sitting K58 Gellhorn. Trailing second is a red Brigand boxcar, and that being 0096. And for rear DPU is 3002. And this went by at 10:47 a.m. The next train that I caught is CNX113. An extra one intermodal train coming out of Winnipeg and is heading to Brampton Intermodal Terminal. It was said by XCVX 2763 with a rate also said in K5HL Horn. And trailing second behind that is 2246. After the locomotives are 13 braking cars, 11 box cars, and 3 containers. And this was taken on Sunday, November 23rd at 3:50 p.m. The next train that I caught is CNM313. Coming to the Macmillan Yard in Vaughan and is heading to a Symington Yard in Winnipeg. It was said by 3015, which is the Veterans G4, with a rate also said in K5HL Horn, and the conductor gave me a wave. And trailing second is 2327. And this was taken on Monday, November 24th at 7:40 p.m.
CN 3015 North, clear signal advance to Zephyr.
The next firing train I caught is CNQ101. Coming out of Brampton Terminal and is heading to Rubber Banks, BC. It was set by 3069. The Wisconsin Central Heritage Unit Railway also set in K5HR horn. For a mid-DPU is 3415, which was originally CN2560. And at the end of the train is a red braking boxcar, and that being 0053. And that has 154 cars. How do I know? I actually counted this train while it was passing by. Anyways, this was taken on Thursday, November 27th at 1:12 p.m. Well everyone, I really hope you enjoyed the CN catches that I caught recently. If you enjoyed it, then you know what to do. Please make sure you give it a really big thumbs up, and subscribe to my videos if you haven't already. That will really help me a lot. We are getting close to 9K subscribers. Once I hit that, I can do a 9K special. And I think I know where I'm going to be going this weekend, but it's going to be a surprise as well. Anyways, until my next Railfanning video, I will see you guys later. Peace out folks, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more. Have a wonderful day or evening, depends if you're watching this as well, and that will be it for me. Bye now, and I will see you guys in my next Railfanning video. Hope you enjoyed the CN catches from recently.